Speaking of the United States, let's go to Mr. Trump, President Trump, and the trip to NATO in London, meeting with the Queen, etc., etc. First up, I mean, he spat the dummy and went, because it seems to me, from watching that footage again and again, that the other leaders were mocking him, especially Trudeau in Canada, when he was doing the thing about jaws dropping and stuff like that. I reckon that he really got upset by it. I mean, he called Prime Minister Trudeau two-faced. He had a fight with Macron, and he cancelled his last press conference and got on a plane and went home. So, Rob, it was not a very edifying NATO, was it?
No, and he said some pretty critical things about NATO for a long time now. He's not really a fan of NATO, let's be honest. And he's well prepared to say what he likes about foreign leaders. I mean, they're not the first people, foreign leaders he's criticised. He'll continue to do it. That's his style. I didn't really expect much else. I thought if it had been warm and friendly, it probably wouldn't have been genuine anyway, Derryn. So at least they're saying what they feel.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about the NATO is, his opinions on NATO is during the election campaign, he was very anti-NATO, we're getting a bad deal. And then, of course, Macron has come out and said that he disagrees with, how NATO is going. And Trump's come in and defended it. He seems to be a last-minute convert to it. So I thought, they'd sort of got him back into the sort of fold there for a while. I was at the G7 earlier this year, and he's had issues with some of those countries before, but he seemed to be very warm with, especially Emmanuel Macron and his wife. He's never been close to Justin Trudeau. He's always had issues with him. But it looked to be that he was quite close to the French leader, but that does seem to have fallen apart again in the last few days.
Well, the thing with Macron saying that NATO was brain dead, and then you had Trump, of course, criticising the Canadians because he said they're not pulling their weight, they're not contributing their 2% as they should be to the running costs of NATO. So he does often bring it all back to money, doesn't he?
And the interesting thing too, Derryn, was Princess Anne was involved in that conversation. And as we know, the royals, tend to not have they're not meant to have any opinions, and we don't sort of see them in that sort of light, I guess. So that's the bit I found quite fascinating, the fact that she was joining in, and you couldn't quite hear what she said, but she was definitely present for what, seems to be, I guess, a bit of mocking towards President Trump there.
Yeah, look, the other thing about seeing you mention Princess Anne, there is one story that I think we should clean up, that the footage has gone around of Princess Anne doing this to her mother, and it looked like, and it was interpreted by some journalist, that she was snubbing Trump, didn't want to meet him, and that so she just said to her mother, not doing it. It's now come out from other journalists who were there. They are saying that's not what happened at all. The Princess Anne was there. Her mother looked to her to see, because he's been talking to Trump for a while, looked to see who the next world leader was coming through, and Princess Anne virtually went, "It's only me," and she pointed, "and the household staff. It's no more leaders." That was the last one. And I think that part of it, I agree with you that her joining into that other conversation, the mocking conversation, was a different thing. But people are even saying that Charles was giving Trump the finger because they had a slight conversation, and then he rubbed his nose with one finger. So, I mean, geez, I've had my criticism of the president on this one. He wasn't competent very well.